levels of concern and optimism. Australia's Trade Minister Don Farrell confirmed that US tariffs on Australian goods remain at 10%, marking a favourable position for Australia. However, Farrell emphasised that Australia would continue advocating for the complete removal of tariffs in line with their free trade agreement. In contrast, New Zealand saw a rise in US tariffs from 10% to 15%, prompting Trade Minister Todd McClay to stress the importance of direct talks with the US for future resolutions. Meanwhile, Taiwan has also been in tariff discussions, with US tariffs on Taiwanese goods previously set at 32%. Taiwan hopes for a reduction after further negotiations, with the final outcome critical to the island's export-driven economy and its global supply chain position. Across the Pacific, tensions are mounting in Mexico. US tariffs on Mexican goods remain at 25%, a figure linked to the United States, Mexico and Canada trade agreement. President Trump extended this deal for 90 days, aiming to finalize a new trade agreement with Mexico. Although Mexico has refrained from retaliating so far, President Claudia Sheinbaum says that she has threatened to impose higher tariffs on US goods if the situation escalates. Here's what she had to say.
Y bueno, se mantiene los aranceles para automotriz, aunque como ustedes saben hay un descuento para lo que tiene que ver con las partes fabricadas en Estados Unidos y México y Canadá también. Realmente México sigue siendo hoy, dentro de este nuevo orden mundial, porque es un nuevo orden comercial mundial, tenemos el mejor acuerdo posible, comparado incluso con las demás naciones. Es decir, el acuerdo que tenemos no implicó ninguna acción adicional por parte de México, sino sencillamente nos quedamos como estamos y seguimos platicando.
Now, meanwhile, France has expressed frustration over the 15% tariff increase imposed on European exports, which was part of a deal between Trump and European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen. French leaders have been vocal in their opposition, calling the arrangement unfair and detrimental to European trade interests. Let's listen in to what François Bayrou, the French Prime Minister, had to say about the tariff situation.
Nous avons assisté précisément à ce contre quoi l'Europe était construite, c'est-à-dire l'idée qu'une puissance aussi importante que les États-Unis peut décider que d'autres pays vont devoir se soumettre à sa loi. Ce n'est pas comme ça que les relations internationales doivent marcher. On doit tous ensemble définir ce que devrait être la loi idéale. Ce n'est pas l'injonction des uns et l'obéissance des autres. Pas comme ça que ça doit.
We're once again joined by Dr. Ajay Jua, Gautam Mukherjee and Dr. Sanjay Kumar on this. Gautam, I wanted to come to you first. Mexico was facing similar accusations from Trump that Canada was. This is why that he raised the tariffs on Mexican goods. However, Claudia Sheinbaum has taken a different approach to Mark Carney in this. That Carney has become off quite hostile towards Trump. That's what, after all, he won his election on, his approach. However, following a phone call between President Trump and Claudia Sheinbaum, the US president has announced a 90-day extension on tariffs. What are your thoughts on Donald Trump's strategy in dealing with countries in regards to something that is so significant on the global trade stage?
Well, it's pressure tactics through and through. And as the time goes on, I feel confident that ways will be found around this. Now, in the case of Vietnam, for example, the direct tariff is 20%. but there's a 40% tariff on third country re-exports. That means if the Chinese are sending their goods to Vietnam and Vietnam is re-exporting them, then there's 40% on those goods. Now, up to now, he hasn't done a cross-referencing of this kind of thing with countries, including India, that are not, basically channeling Chinese goods. But Canada is, Mexico is, or was, and therefore the tariffs have been raised very high. Plus, there is the accusation of drug running and people running from both the countries, which Trump wants to prevent, and is, that's why the tariffs are so high. Now, in India's case, I think negotiations are still on, 6 rounds of negotiations. That 6th round is about to happen in August. I think an interim agreement can come about. The imposition of this 25% is actually, today's news says, from the 7th. It comes into effect from the 7th of August. That seems to be the latest. Now, India could, where it's hurting India is not in terms of the overall GDP hit, which may be limited to 0.3 to 0.5%, which is not insignificant, but not, damaging to the extent that we are sunk. Having said that, the main sectors that are affected are gems and jewelry and textiles. The way out may be to send them to third countries, such as Britain, with whom we have now entered into an FTA, and there is no tax on what we send on these items in particular to the UK, and the UK can in turn export them to importers in the US. Similarly, UAE may be another target, and like this, there are many other countries which are not, which have FTAs with India and which are not sanctioned with high tariffs by America, nor have they been sanctioned with additional tariffs in case they channel other people's goods. UAE has for long been channeling Russian goods, both import and export. And really, America hasn't. I mean, this can get very complex.
Yes, indeed.
Will America get its way out and out? I don't think so. Pressuring so many countries at the same time, I don't know what other work he'll get done at this rate.
Yes, Gautam, thank you. I wanted to bring Dr. Jua in next. This is obviously being called a reciprocal tariff by the US president. Do you believe that now some of these tariffs have come to effect? As Gautam just said there, not all of them have yet, but most of them are due to come in on the 7th. Do you believe the US's reciprocal tariff strategy is effective in addressing these trade imbalances, or does it risk escalating trade tensions?
My reaction is somewhat mixed. The United States is doing all these things for 2 reasons. One, to earn revenue. President Trump has frequently talked about the US rates of import being very low or no import duty at all on, for instance, under the CUSMA from Mexico and Canada, and to earn revenue. By imposing these, he hopes that the finance bill, which he's just got passed, the big beautiful bill, that whatever losses in extra expenditure occurs in such kind of extravagance or sectarian kind of favors which he's passing out, can get made up from the increased income from customs by these higher taxes. That's number one. And number two is that he is trying to sell an American dream of MAGA, that America can again become a great country. And the route which is chosen is the manufacturing route, which I think is at current juncture a rather tough one. If he had relied upon services, technology-based services and highly technical goods to manufacture, I could have said that's possible. But if you're getting into general manufacturing, including steel, aluminium, components,
Yes.
all kind of things, that's going to take a very long time, and that may not materialize, at least during his term, 3.5 years left of his second term. So my fear is that the president is upsetting in the process the whole global supply chain. And in that, he's impacting friends and foes alike.
Yes.
I don't know who is foe, whether China he considers as foe. As of last 10 days, Russia has become a foe. Earlier, President Putin was a great guy for him. Now, if so, it's all a very, if I could use a very simple term, hodgepodge around the world taking place. We don't know today's enemies, tomorrow's friends, and what's going to happen. So India is, as of 3 days or 2 days, we are no longer in his, favored category. He's called us one of, dumbest economy, etc., along with Russia's poor performers. But
Yes.
he does realize that we have a strategic value, we are partners, and there are the services exports to us of the US plus royalties which get American companies take, and the arms sales actually.
Okay, Dr. Ju, I'm really sorry. We're going to have a different. We're going to move on. Just